Hi and welcome to Squiz.com, the connected marketplace. Today I'll be showing you a few of the latest changes we've made to the platform. In particular today we'll be looking at the Squiz.com mobile apps that have just been released to run on Android and Apple iOS devices, such as iPhones and iPads. The mobile apps make it nice and easy to find and access Squiz on your mobile device without having to open a web browser to access the platform. Additionally, the mobile apps allow you to receive notifications from the Squiz.com platform direct to your device, making it nice and easy for you to be alerted when new notifications arrive. You can find links to the apps by going to Squiz.com, then scrolling down and clicking on the apps link from the footer bar. Then under the Squiz.com mobile app section, clicking on the Google Play or the Apple App Store icons will take you to the respective pages, allowing you to view details of the apps themselves, as well as download the apps to your devices if you're accessing the pages from the devices. Note that for the Android app, you must be running Android 4.1 or higher in order to be able to install and run the app okay. And for Apple, you must be running iOS version 9.3 or higher. Both the apps on both devices have the same functionality as if you're accessing them from the web, with a few useful additions to the apps. You can also find the apps by opening up the Google Play or the App Store icons on iOS devices and finding the Squiz.com app through there. Now I'll show you how each of the apps runs on the respective devices. Here I've got an emulator, which is emulating an iOS 5 device. And as you can see, for both the apps, you need to be registered before you can use the apps and to log into Squiz.com. So I'll just log in now. In the iOS app, so Squiz.com loads up as you would expect. There's a few differences between the iOS app and the Android app. So in the iOS app, we have this thing called a hamburger or the menu icon. And clicking on that will scroll across and give you a few options with the app. So in the settings area, we can set how often the app should check for new notifications. So it's how often is the app going to make a request to Squiz to see, do you have any new notifications? So you've got two options for Wi-Fi connections. So that's when you're accessing the internet on your device over a Wi-Fi. You can say it to, in this case, refresh or look for notifications every 2 minutes, or you could scroll it up to every 30 minutes or as low as 1 minute or never. Now, depending on the more times you allow the notifications to take place, the more battery power it's going to use on your device. So it's advisory to find a setting which you're comfortable with and it's not chewing too much of your battery life. Now, the separate setting for the mobile connections, you can say if you're accessing the internet on your device through a mobile connection or through your carrier connection, then you can set a different time as well. And that's because, and you might want to set this one to be a little bit longer because it's chewing up more of your data from your mobile connections. Now, in the Apple app, these are only really recommendations of how often the app should check, but Apple's software actually decides how often it should check. So it can be a little hit and miss, and in the future we might be looking at changes in order to make this a little bit more reliable. Now if I go back to the navigation menu in the iOS app, there's also a separate link in order to be able to view downloaded files. So in this app, you can also download files to your mobile device, and then you can open those files later. And I'll show you an example of this. So you can scroll left to right in order to open and close this navigation menu. If we go into a conversation, so let's just open up one that I prepared earlier. So once you've opened a conversation, if it had attachments, you can download the attachments to your device. So I've got this attachment called squizlogo.jpg that has been uploaded in this case by a person called Test Developer. Click on the download link. That will download the file to the device, and then you can access that file if we just scroll across, click on the downloaded files, and there it is in the list of downloads. So you can click on that, and now you can view the file that has been downloaded to the device. So the app can store all the attachment files you decide to download to your iOS device, and then you can view them. Now, you can't view every single kind of attachment file, but the viewer will open up most supported files, such as images, Word documents, PDFs, and any other supported file that you could open up in a normal browser. And they'll be all listed alphabetically. If you decide to download a file with the same name, it will download that file, but it won't overwrite the existing file. It will append a number at the end of the file name to ensure that you don't overwrite existing files. So those files are stored locally on your own device and can then be accessed without actually having to use an internet connection in the future. The iOS app will also remember your login username, so that way the next time you open the app, you don't have to you don't have to type in your username again. If we go across to the Android device, so here I have an emulator that's running the Nexus 5 Google device. So I'll just log into the squiz.com app from here. So just like the iOS app, the Android app will load up the squiz.com platform, just as you would expect if you're accessing it through a web browser. There's a few minor changes to the app. So in the top right, we have this settings or cogwheel. From there, you can click into the app settings, which will give you the same options as that we had similar to the iOS app, where you can click on how often you want the app to check for new notifications if the app is using a Wi-Fi connection, as well as a mobile connection. Now, unlike the iOS app, the Android app, this will be very reliable. So you can expect if you're on a Wi-Fi connection that if you're logged in, it's going to be checking for notifications every minute on the minute. And the same for if you're on a mobile connection, it's going to be checking for new notifications if you're out and about. In this case, if you had it for 20 minutes, it would be 20 minutes each and every time. So it's a very reliable way to get your notifications. Now, you must be logged into the app in order for the notifications to be to receive new notifications. We have some other settings here which are not relevant at this stage, but they will be relevant in the future. So just like on the iOS app, for conversations, you can download the attachments to your local device. Now, it's slightly different for the Android app, whereas when you download an attachment, that will use the download manager, which is available in all Android apps, and then you can use a application such as the File Commander or any other file system app that's out there in order to access these downloaded files. So it's unlike the iOS app, there isn't an area to view the downloaded files. You have to use a separate app in order to access the files that are stored on your device. The other difference is if you are typing a message, the Android app will change the screen so that way you've got the full screen to be able to type in your message and post the changes as well. Besides that, everything else handles in exactly the same way between the two devices. And once you're finished, you can then, with your session, you can also log out of the app as well. For both the Android and iOS apps, these are both in their infancy. So if you do find any bugs or any issues, or you got any recommendations, please let us know by going to the squiz.com webpage, click on the profile, and then within the profile itself, if you click on the feeds, put in your comments under the Squiz Early Adopter feed, and let us know of your recommendations or your issues that you've found, and we can strive to put them in future releases. We have a whole bunch of functionality that we want to put into these apps, so they will be evolving over time with more and more features and functionality. Now, if we go back into the apps page, we've also released another app onto the App Store, which is called Menyou Planner. And we developed this as we were learning how to develop Android and iOS apps. And the Menu Planner is this completely unrelated to the Squiz.com platform, but it's a very handy tool that allows you to work out what you need to eat this week. So, as an example, if I open up the Android emulator again, and we go to the Menu app, this app is designed to choose for you what you're going to eat this week. So the app allows you to insert a number of meals that you know how to cook or you'd like to take out from, and then you can click clicking this generate meal plan. It will choose what you're going to be eating this week. So the app has decided that on Sunday I'm going to be eating barbecue chicken. On Monday and Tuesday I'm going to be eating hamburgers. On Wednesday I'm going to be eating steak, and on Friday and Saturday I'm going to be eating burritos. Now if I click the generate meal plan again, then it will change it up, and it will keep randomizing which day of the week you're going to be eating which pieces of food and how many serves you need to cater for. And you can keep adding more and more meals into the app. So in this case, let's just add, I like to have pancakes, for instance, as a meal. Then you can say how often or how many serves of pancakes you usually make. So it serves 4 people. How difficult is it to eat or to cook? So we can say it's a fairly easy recipe to cook. And what kind of meal is it? So in this case, it may be a dinner, maybe a lunch. You may be able to do all of them. In this case, it can. And whether or not you actually cook the food yourself or not. And then once you've added more meals to the app, when you click the generate meal plan, it will have more selections and be able to randomly choose what you're going to be eat that week. So the point of that app is just to simply make it much easier to know what you're going to eat this week without actually having to decide. So if we keep clicking the generate plan, you can see now it's decided on Tuesday and Wednesday we're now eating pancakes. And there's a whole bunch of settings in the app as well where you can decide, for this week, I don't want to eat, I'm going to be eating out with friends, so I don't have to worry about Tuesday or Thursday. And I only care about food that I'll be cooking myself. Or you might allow food that you also eat out. So if you had pizza, for instance, and you ordered that from a takeout place, you could have that included in how the app decides what you're going to be eating this week. So once we've tweaked those settings, that will then dictate on what's available. Now, the app also has the ability to generate a list of ingredients based on the meals that you've chosen as well. So as long as you add ingredients to the meals, it can then produce a shopping list that decides what you need to get in order to be able to cook those meals. It's a handy little app that allows you to make your life a little bit easier on what you're going to be eating each week. The Menyou Planner can be also found on the App Store for both iOS and Android devices, so feel free to download it. Only costs $1.50. Have a play, and once again, give us any feedback. And in the future, we may be doing a lot more integration work with Squiz on this app as well to make it even easier to find suppliers who can get the food that you need in order to cook the meals you have been chosen for you. Besides that, in the Squiz.com platform itself, we've made some minor changes to the platform, particularly around the forgot password feature. So if you cannot remember your password, you click on the forgot password, enter your email address. Once you've answered your security questions, it will then generate a temporary password that allows you to be able to log in with that temporary password. So we've made that a little bit easier for you to be able to copy and paste it, as well as made the randomly generated password easier with less different kind of characters as well. Besides that, there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening behind the scenes in the platform, and I'll talk about them in the next video. So if you find any issues while using the platform, please let us know on the feeds, and we can have a look into it and make any required adjustments. Until then, happy squizzing!